But first, let's go on the phone line. Now, when Professor Frimpong Boateng was chairman of the IMCIM, which is the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, his secretary was Charles Bissue. Charles Bissue had to leave that committee or secretariat at a later time due to a number of issues which are already in history. But let's ask him what he makes of this report by his former boss and if he would corroborate or challenge some of the points raised. Mr. Bissue, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yeah, thank you.
Listening to the documents, the highlights of the document being read by my colleague there, are there things in there that shock you, or you agree with everything that your former boss has said?
Okay, thank you, Mario. First of all, is the document authentic? We know the source. Is it Prof who actually circulated it? Have we verified that?
Okay, so we have his signature at the bottom. We do know also that the Chief of Staff had requested for a report, which report we expected to have been presented. As to whether it is Professor Frimpong Boateng who publicized it, we cannot say on authority.
Okay.
But it is penned under his name, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, dated 19th March 2021. So the assumption here is that this is a report that he sent in response to the request from the Chief of Staff, which response is what we are having here. And Sami, you have a few more things to share in reference to the authenticity of this report.
Yeah. So, Sandra, this is a letter.
Charles, before I come to you, just wanted to get that.
So, this is a letter written by Professor Frimpong Boateng to Abdul Malik Kwekubakon,
the journalist,
the senior journalist. So, in this particular report, because we didn't get time to go into it, Professor Frimpong Boateng accused some senior journalists of running a campaign against him. Okay. He named Mr. Kwekubakon as one of these individuals or this senior journalists who were running campaign against him. So, in this particular letter, which was addressed by Professor Frimpong Boateng and sent to Kwekubakon, he says, I acknowledge receipt of your WhatsApp message you sent to me at 1:30 p.m. today, Tuesday, 18th April 2023, which are the link of excerpt of a publication by one Mr. Kelvin Taylor on his program Loud Silence on Sunday, 16th April 2023. I have not laid hands on all the documents exhibited on the program. However, I have seen the copy of a report I presented to the Chief of Staff at the Presidency a little over a year ago on her orders that contained the piece you sent me. The Chief of Staff wrote to me to present a report to the President on the work of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, which I chaired. Furthermore, I was told to suggest a way forward in the fight against illegal mining. I prepared the report, which I signed on the 19th of March 2021 and presented to the Chief of Staff.
Okay.
I am solely responsible for the report and I stand by every statement I presented in that particular report.
Okay, thank you. So Charles, for all intents and purposes and based on everything we've gathered so far, this is as authentic as it can get.
Okay. So, first of all, I know that you've granted me a few interviews and other radio stations and or media houses have also done the same. And if you Google my name with this galamsey thing, you'd realize that I've always been consistent in the things that I've said. And two, I've always said that vindication dwells within the womb of time. So everything that I'm saying, I say it in the interest of this country, Ghana, even though I have been vilified, and sometimes I've always said that when nations or other things have to go well, some people must be sacrificed, which I do not regret at all. But then I believe that in the end, the country must benefit from whatever we're doing. Now, I'm not surprised to see these things coming out from Professor Frimpong Boateng, but I am disappointed in him for, first of all, not coming out in those years, you know what I mean, to actually churn out such information. Because if he had done that previously, would have actually dealt with the galamsey menace bedeviling the country. Because, I've always said that this galamsey issue has no political colors. It is all over. Even you, some of your journalists are part of it.
Allegedly.
Okay, allegedly. Thanks for correcting me. You see, in the report, I've also read it. He said in December 2018, I think I led a team to invade CNG, Alaska, and Aprampama Forest. And then in 2017, that was when I was hit by this anastic. And I remember when that thing came, Kweku Baako came out and warned the president to be careful. Everything that Prof is saying, some of them I'm not privy to. Regarding his conversation with Gabi, I wasn't privy to it. But the conversation with Kweku Baako, yes, Prof told me. And he told me that Kweku Baako called him and said that when they go to cabinet, he's been hitting CNG Alaska and Imperial Heritage, which was a concession that were actually destroying our forest reserve. So in that vein, in December, I think Prof, whilst I was working as the secretary, the committee agreed that I go with about 30 journalists. That is the journalists that we sent there to actually cover all the 47, some of the 47 forest reserves never published the report. Then the announced expose came out. Now, I remember, there are a lot of things that I know. But when you're building a country, there's times and seasons that you talk. I remember I think in February, where I was in South Africa in 2019, February. And then when I came back, that's when the announced expose came out. Somebody, a friend, came to me in South Africa and said that Donald Encha, because I've had an altercation with him before, that I'm actually I'm doing a lot of things against their company and that they're going to deal with me. 2 weeks later, we had that announced expose come out. Now, the things that Prof has said in there, like I said, I'm not privy to the conversations that he's had with him, but so I cannot attest to that. But, for example, the conversation with Kweku Baako, yes, he told me the day that he was supposed to meet him at 4 p.m., yes, I was privy to that. And then further to that, Prof, I think, had an argument with the two gentlemen, one called Simon and then one Donald Encha. Yes, I'm from Prama Forest. Yes, I went there. When I went there, I think they didn't have a mining license. They've been given an entry permit, and they were supposed to be doing what? There's levels of licenses. They were supposed to be doing, I've forgotten that word, where you actually exploration or something like that. And then further to that, you're given a mining license. So because they couldn't show any documentation, then we stopped them from mining. Excavators were seized thereafter. But the point where Prof really hasn't come out, and at this point in time where he's been sent to the CID to be investigated, and now that, this information is coming out, that is what actually makes me, I am so disappointed in Prof, because as an elderly statesman, he should have actually spoken at the time that these things were happening, that the A, B, C was happening, so that we can have a discussion about it and deal with it.
Okay, now, how should we take this report? Is it something that should mean anything to the fight? The fight appears to have been lost using various yardsticks of measurement. But looking at what he has said, and for him to have said at the end there that he is the last man standing, and for you to say you are disappointed in him, that means you know something that we don't know.
Prof is not the last man standing. No, seriously. He's not the last man. He and I know a lot. You see, Umaru, everything that I say, with the help of God, I would always speak the truth. You understand? Because posterity judges all of us. You understand? So when I say things today, and then in the next month or so, it turns out to be lies, it's actually, I wasn't brought up like that. And so for us, around this age, the 40s and the 50s, we know that we have a future in this country, and so we have to protect it, as opposed to people who are elderly statespersons who are supposed to be bequeathing something better to us, ended up not being truthful. You see, there are lots of things that Prof knows that I know. So I would have wished that he had spoken at the time, because there are things that he had also done. It is not when you've been sent to the CID that you actually throw in things or try and throw in the spanners to actually destroy the government. I am a party person. In my party's constitution, it says you have to protect and promote the image of the party. So I've always been cautious about the discussions I have on radio. Every discussion of mine has to be to protect the party and the government. There's so many things that I know between NDC, MPP, and people who are doing these things, but it goes to the appropriate quarters. I am saying that there were 10 ministers on that committee. So if Prof comes out to say that he's the last one, then that is not true. What about Damboche, Cecilia Dapa, Haji Alima, they're all people of integrity, right? So I don't think one person should come out and say he or she was the last person standing.
But do you agree that he was part of the men standing, though? Was he part of the last man standing, even if he's not the only man standing?
I do not agree.
You think your former boss had his hands soiled in this fight himself?
You see, Umari, you're asking questions. Please do not forget that I have a legal background. So there are not things that I would say that I will go to court and defend. You understand my point?
So you're careful.
I know that you're using the funneling system to narrow me down. You will not get to me. But I'm saying that he was not the last man standing.
Okay.
He was fraught with what?
And he was not even part of the last man standing.
He wasn't.
If you were to list out of the 10 ministers, which ones you consider the cleanest or those with clean hands in this fight, who would these be?
So you're going through the back door. There were 10 ministers on the committee. Every one of them had something to contribute to. So I will not take some out and leave some out. You understand? Okay. It was a collective thing. Being the secretary, if I name 7 and leave the 3 out, what am I doing to the 3? You understand? But Prof has come out to speak. And I'm saying that what he's saying to the point that he was the last man standing wasn't true. And I speak in the spirit of protecting my country.
Okay. Let's leave it here for now. Thank you so much for speaking to us.